and I heard something really interesting that the Japanese market doesn't seem to care as much how things do here.
I got you.
Because the market is very small, or
it's
don't really know.
Changing. That is changing. In the past, it was very much that it started off first like in the 80s and some in the 90s that U.S. sales were ancillary or secondary compared to the deal like that. As we become more of a globalized market and as anime has become a bigger deal here, we become a bigger deal. Japan will always be the #1 concern for them. They own it, they control it. But going out to Europe and Australia, Mexico, Canada, and especially the US being the #2 for them, they do care a lot along that lines. For example, when Gonzo made Afro Samurai, it was the first anime made for a global English-speaking market. It was fully drawn in Japan, but then they made an English track before they made a Japanese track, and that's how you get badasses like Samuel Jackson on board. So overall, they're seeing that the market is becoming more and more global, and that overall, if they want to be a big player, or continue to be a big player in the growth of anime worldwide, the U.S. market is a big deal. I mean, the government actually now is putting together an organization, a committee, with money to promote anime abroad. The actual Japanese government. They see how important this is to the. Of course, they're all committees. They actually call it. They see how important it is to Japan's growth that they go more global. They see that there's growth potential there.
That's been the case with Gonzo for several titles. For example, we get royalties on Japanese sales of Samurai 7. So a title, right? So a Gonzo title, at least for them, they don't start production on a show until they get enough investors, and they'll go outside of Japan to do that.
It's actually kind of interesting that you talked about other regions and stuff like Europe and stuff like that. Just kind of a fan sub example, we've actually released trilingual things of some of our shows and stuff like that, which was kind of unique at the time. And I know some groups now, what they do is like Brazilian for some reason loves harassing us on the internet. We don't know why. Brazil loves our fan subs. So they come and speak broken English to you, and they ask for our scripts to put them in the language and stuff and release them. So we're very open to that. But I think if there was a more global, like you guys said, a more global initiative, then everybody in Brazil wouldn't have to go after us fan subbers to get our scripts and stuff and use them. So it's kind of a unique thing too.
Soft subs make that a lot easier.
Right, yeah, we're referring to soft subs at this point, not hard subs.
We don't even ask anymore usually.
Yeah, just to underscore how surprising it is to some extent to the Japanese that the U.S. market is the way it is. I spent the last couple of days with the Japanese consulate here at Anime Central, and many times they said to me, "Wow, there are a lot of people here." And I said, "Well, yes. This is the 4th largest con. There are bigger ones."
To add to your your note there, pretty much conventions I've been to, I think I've been a lot. I mean, it's like the last 6 I went to. The convention attendance has gone up from anywhere from as small as 10% to doubled. So overall, because the economy of people are actually coming to conventions more, because they're like, why go see a movie when I can spend a con badge and have an entire weekend, along that lines. And more anime fans are coming out. Like there's new fans. Like people walk around like, oh, what's Kitty Grade? I'm like, that's 3 years old, but it's wonderful. Along those lines. So I mean, overall, the anime market is still growing because there's a younger fan base. There's another group coming in right now. We're very excited because we can sell the box sets.
Great. Let's take a couple comments, questions.
Yeah, as someone who's part of an anime group far away from here, in the middle of nowhere, no big city, no blockbuster down the street. One thing I hear again and again, and I brought it up to Funimation on at least 2 panels in the last 5 years, stuff that in our situation people would like to see is basically subtitle-only discs that are stripped down, bare minimum, kind of like what you're talking about with what you give out to the rental place, where they come out faster, easier, cheaper, and for an upgrade, you can upgrade to the full release when the full release comes out. I mean, we're talking maybe 2 episodes a disc or something that comes out quick. It also gets around your Blu-ray problems of waiting 2 years because the DVD quick release has region coding on it and would only be available in the US, so you don't have to wait. A lot of our people are leery of some of the download stuff because what they see for downloads, they say YouTube. And YouTube is horrible quality almost all the time. You can't, it's like the VHS tapes that are still around from the 80s that you can't read. Where they're very happy with the fan subs because they're now higher def. Yeah, we get the good people, we don't go after the speedy people. So yeah, that's basically our thing. We bring it up again and again, but industry said it's too expensive. So
I've actually done some titles. I did a title a while ago for Bandai that is strictly subtitle only. It's called Rocket Girls, by the way, which silly name, but it's co-funded by a Japan space agency, and it's actually really good. Rocket Girls.
They're different. Not necessarily the sky.
It's fiction that's, based on science, so, but yeah, that's sort of a boutique title kind of thing.
Well, I didn't really mean as just a, we won't be 8,000, don't want that.
Oh, no. For quick turnaround, all 12 episodes released at once. It's basically, if they don't want to go to the, if they don't think they'll recoup their expenses on a full bilingual release, then yeah, they'll. I think a lot of the companies are open to the idea of doing a subtitle-only, box set.
I think I'm expanding on that. Bandai Visual especially has started doing that lately with Die Buster versus Gunbuster, some of their older giant robot shows. They haven't quite given into Euro philosophy because they're still charging $40 for the disc for only 2 episodes, but it is something that's up and coming amongst some of the industry viewers.
The translation agency they use is also pretty utilitarian too.
We're still waiting for their True Tears. True Tears and Shigefumi Blu-rays were supposed to come out 3 weeks after Japan. But I guess I had a quick question based on that. Do you think that there's going to be growth in the market where you guys can make money off of certain titles if you don't have to dub it? You know what I'm saying? If you wouldn't make money off it if you had to dub it and do full marketing, but if you could just do a subtitle and throw it out there cheaply, is there money to be made?
Yeah, I'll answer both of those. Subtitle-only DVDs are amazingly expensive on the cost of just producing, distributing. Retailers don't like them because they automatically think you're losing half your market right there.
I would think more of where you get them from your guys' website.
Well, we're not set up to do that. We call, well, not just play public company, basically, we don't have this direct distribution. We actually do through other people. Like if you order through Funimation.com, it goes to Right Stuff. We can set up along that line, but still that's the exact same thing as in creating DVDs and shipping and all that. The only thing that could be a possibility in the future is a new technology that's starting with Amazon, which is print to order. Where actually, like Dr. Horrible was a great example. They didn't actually make it like, we're gonna make 10,000 of them. No, you go to Amazon, you hit a button, and it actually prints you a version right there. So there's no quantities or no storage fees, no overheads. I would say if that model keeps picking up and the cost for that keep dropping down, that's a possibility. You'd be like, okay, we call it, the base disc is $10 or $5, whatever. Subtitles are plus $1, dubs plus $2, or whatever. An early version subs are the only one available. So a print to order model could be possible, but overall, and to your other question, a sub only version on DVD is just, and it has to be at a certain level to pick up. Unless we get it at an amazingly good price. Sometimes we'll see stuff that it's like, how much do you want for that? I think I got my pocket. All that lines. And then we'll go release that one and we'll say, you know what, maybe just a subversion online or print to order or along those lines is something that actually is worth it. But overall, for most shows, they won't give us to us, at a fair price, because for both companies we want to be fair to each other. So.
Our online streaming partners as well sometimes don't like getting subtitles. So, I won't say which ones they are, but yeah, some of them prefer it if we just send them the dub.
Okay.
So we almost always have to dub it anyway.
All right, we have, I think, a response or another question here.